What's going on, guys? Coach Hayes here, back in the 8th Street Gym, and today I want to talk to you about ForceDecks. Nowadays, you go into any professional team's weight room or high-level collegiate programs weight rooms or any elite atmosphere where training's going on, chances are you're gonna see some of these bad boys. And the reality of it is, this piece of equipment can spit out tons of data. But just like we're asking our athletes to think fast and play fast out on the field, I need to be able to think fast and coach fast as a performance coach out on the weight room floor. If you're an elite athlete or trying to be one day, or if you're a coach out there that's seen these before, might not know how to use them, or you have them and you just want to fine tune your process, then you might want to pay attention, because I'm going to break down the 4 performance metrics that I like personally when I'm talking about ForceDecks, and I'm going to throw in 2 bonus metrics for you to look at that you might want to keep an eye on. ForceDecks 8th Street Gym style. Let's go. All right, let's break this down. ForceDecks CMJ stands for counter movement jump. That is where I'm gonna have my hands on my hips and I'm jumping up as fast as I can, as high as I can. There's a lot of good data on CMJ. It's the most commonly used test when we're talking ForceDecks, the CMJ. It gives you the most bang for your buck when talking performance and talking asymmetries and injury prevention, especially when you're training a lot of athletes in one setting. The CMJ can be your best bang for buck in terms of efficiency, but also good amount of data that you can get just from a simple 2 to 3 max effort jumps. Let's break this down. The 4 performance metrics I like to look at. The first metric, boom, jump height. It's the easiest metric for athletes to understand, or if you're talking to the parents, or if you're talking to the head coach, or anybody high up in the organization, we're all gonna be able to understand jump height, how high you get off the ground. Really good expression of lower body power. In general, if I'm doing all the things in the weight room correctly, I'm training hard, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting faster, doing all those things right, I'm sleeping good, I'm getting my diet dialed in. If everything's going right, well, jump height should go up. So it's a really good indicator to start at. It's easy to understand. Everybody gets it. We don't need a PhD to figure out what jump height is. If this is going up and to the right, generally speaking, doing the right things in the weight room. Next metric, RSI, stands for Reactive Strength Index. What the heck does that mean? Is the amount of time I'm in the air divided by the amount of time I'm on the ground. This number is gonna tell me how bouncy I am, how elastic I am, or I like to call it how quick twitch I am. This is really important for our athletes out there that play the game in space. Defensive back, wide receiver, running back, shortstop, center fielder. We gotta be able to react on a dime and get to the play and make the play. Right here, RSI is also gonna be a really good indicator of my readiness and my fatigue. I'm looking at this metric the most. If this number dips, I know my central nervous system is taking a hit. So as a coach, we can really have good conversations, doing the right things outside of here. How's your sleep? What's going on at home? What your other stress factors might be poured into this to make this number go down? Or on the flip side, if this number is going up, that athlete's getting more quick twitch. They're getting bouncier, more elastic, and that's always a good thing. I can be able to stick my foot in the ground and get out. I'm being more athletic, I'm becoming more reactive. But if this number is low, then that's gonna help us as performance coaches. We might be able to steer the athlete in the right direction in terms of programming and exercise selection. If I wanna increase this number, then I need to program in some plyometrics that don't allow for long ground contact times, right? So instead of 1 box jump, I might do consecutive hurdle jumps. Or instead of 1 medicine ball throw where my feet are on the ground, I might do that med ball throw from a smaller box and do a depth drop medicine ball vertical scoop toss. I'm doing things from a programming standpoint that can help increase this number if that's what the athlete needs. Really good bang for your buck metric, because that's gonna show me a lot of good information, and it's gonna allow me to have good conversations with athletes, whether it's from a development standpoint, helping that athlete get better at their position, or if it's from a fatigue and readiness standpoint, how I'm gonna help maybe better their habits outside of just the weight room. RSI is a great metric. Need to be looking at it. Our next metric, peak power divided by body mass, pound for pound power. Why do we want to look at this? In terms of a roster, let's say a football roster, you have big guys and you have smaller guys. This metric is going to allow us to put all the players on an even playing field, and we'll be able to objectively tell who is the most pound for pound powerful player on the team. This is a really good metric to put everybody on the same playing field. Additionally, it gives me a really good insight on body composition. Because body mass is part of the equation, I'm able to steer athletes in the right direction, or at least have good conversations depending on if this number is up or down. Let's say this number is going down, but the athlete's body weight stays the same. Then we're losing efficiency in lower body power. If this number is going down and that person is gaining weight, then we know that that might not be the best weight that they're putting on, because they're not able to be efficient. So that might be quote unquote bad weight. We can kind of have a good conversation and steer them back in the right direction. But in general, we want this number high, and that's what everybody wants, right? We talk about training. I don't care if you're out there on the field performing, or if you're just somebody training in general pop and you want to look the part, you want to be a better looking human being, then yeah, we all want this number to be high. It means we're lean, we're mean, and we're packing some good muscle, and we're efficient with the body weight that we have. Pound for pound power, great metric. I don't care if you're a football player, baseball player, pro wrestler, or if you're general pop and you're just training for life, this number is huge in terms of athletes, in terms of body composition, power, you name it. This is a key metric to look at. The next metric and the last metric we look at is something called concentric impulse. Concentric, that is the portion of the jump where I'm pushing into the ground on my way up. Impulse is force times time. The total amount of force I apply into the ground all the way on that jump phase right before I leave the ground. Why is this important? Concentric impulse is going to be a real good indicator of how strong or forceful I am when I push into the ground. Real important when you're talking about sports and athletics. That's the main name of the game, applying force into the ground. That's why we squat. That's why we deadlift. This metric is going to tell us, are we getting stronger in our force production? Are we getting more forceful with our lower body? I don't care if I'm in the batter's box, I gotta apply force into the ground in order to hit the ball further, or if I'm a pitcher and I wanna throw with more velo, I gotta push into the ground harder in order to throw faster. Or if I'm an interior lineman in football, my job depends on moving another person out of the way to make space for that running back to score a big touchdown. Concentric impulse is gonna be a really good indicator for my lower body force production. If I'm a coach and this is not going up, then we're not getting stronger. Do we need to go heavier on our squats? Do we need to bump the weight on deadlifts? This number can tell us a lot in terms of steering the athlete in the right direction. How strong are we in our lower body? Plain and simple. We can break that number down in just real basic terms to be able to talk to the athlete or the parent or the coach in a direct way. Hey, we need to get stronger. We gotta bump the weight on our deadlifts or squats. Our concentric impulse, we gotta get that thing up. And in terms of sports, that's the name of the game. Applying force into the ground, great indicator in terms of, hey, are we getting stronger in our lower body or not? All right, let's talk the bonus metrics that you want to keep an eye on. If these 4 metrics were performance-based, These next metrics are gonna be my injury prevention based or imbalanced metrics to look at. The difference between my left and right legs. A lot of injuries tend to occur when the imbalance is really high between my left and right limb. One leg is stronger than the other, then that tends to overcompensate, and that leg might be the one that gets injured because it's doing too much, or the weak leg might get injured if I need to go on a full speed sprint and the hamstring isn't strong enough and it blows or it pops or it tweaks. A lot of issues tend to happen when these differences between left and right are high. I'm gonna break it down into two metrics you wanna look at. I'm gonna break it down to you real simple. I'm gonna give you two metrics to look at. Eccentric braking impulse. On my way down, I'm absorbing that force, putting the brakes on. So when I'm lowering and I got absorbed force, eccentric braking impulse is gonna tell me where am I imbalanced at or how big that difference of force is between my left and right leg. Generally speaking, if the number is greater than 10 to 15%, I'm having a conversation with that athlete and that athletic trainer. Hey, we got to keep an eye on the athlete because whether the left leg or the right leg is not strong enough in that absorption, we could have some issues creep up. If we don't clean up some of those left to right imbalances, how do I address this in the weight room setting? Any exercise that's going to improve that ability. Putting the brakes on, single leg eccentrics, absorption exercises, or dropping catch exercises, stopping patterns or sticking patterns. I have to absorb the force and stick and hold that position. Say, hey, before you leave the weight room today, I want you to get 2 sets of 6 slow eccentrics, right leg Bulgarian split squats. Let's talk concentric impulse. Same as this performance metrics, but we're looking at the differences between left and right side. Number is greater than 10 to 15%. We know that they have an imbalance. When I push into the ground, I'm pushing more off my right leg or I'm pushing more off my left leg. I can clean this up by doing some single leg work that's focused on that push. We're looking at eccentric braking impulse and concentric impulse. Left and right differences, are they greater than 10 to 15%? That's gonna help us keep our athletes on the field. Injury prevention, injury protection, those metrics are gonna come in handy keeping athletes healthy. Now that we've covered our performance metrics, our asymmetrical metrics, now we got a real good picture to paint for our athletes. How does this stuff come up in a real life scenario, in a real training environment? Let's take 2 H Street Gym athletes that are at the high school level that have been training at a pretty consistent basis. Let's take athlete A. A real good picture of these 4 performance metrics, and you can see in the graph, jump height is trending in an upward direction. In fact, his most recent jump height, he PR'd at 14 inches. But recently, you have RSI in the last several weeks trending in a downward trajectory. So now I can have that conversation with him. Hey, just as hard as you're attacking this weight room, we have to attack the sleep. We have to attack the recovery aspect of being an athlete. And we can get out in front of any issues that may be happening in the future if we don't rebound our central nervous system. Let's take a look at athlete number 2. Again, high school athlete, football player, currently in season. Look at his numbers. They're all up and to the right. This is awesome. This is great. He's getting stronger. He's getting more reactive. He's getting twitchier. He's jumping higher. Everything's going up and to the right. This is really good to know because now when he comes on the weekends after a game, we can show him, hey, you've recovered pretty well. We can get after it in this training session because our RSI isn't tanked. I can say to him, you've recovered really well, you're ready to train. Let's take a look at his asymmetry number. Here on concentric impulse, he's at a 6.8 difference. He's pushing off more on his right leg. He's a quarterback and he's planting that right foot in the ground a lot. more than his left leg, so we can kind of have a good conversation with him. Hey man, when you do your single leg exercises, you might want to do your left leg first. You're not at a danger zone in 15%, but you are creeping up close to 10. So it might be a good idea to do your left leg first on any single leg exercises that you do, because of all the planning and pushing off of the right leg due to your quarterback position. So 2 different athletes, different sports. This data allows me to help steer them in the right direction from a recovery standpoint, from an asymmetry standpoint, from a performance standpoint. We're able to have dialed in conversations. It's gonna help them raise their game in terms of athletic performance. It's not so much information to where I get lost in the sauce, but it's enough information where I can have quick hitting conversations in real life examples to where I'm able to hit them quick, but also get to what I need to get to, and that is the training itself. This is where you want to be in talks of CMJ ForceDecks. It's all from 2 to 3 jumps on the CMJ, and that's what we're talking about here in the 8th Street Gym. Show them objective data to where they get better and elevates their game, elevates my game as a performance coach. That's how we do ForceDecks CMJ, training hard, but training smart. Do things a little different here in the 8th Street Gym.